Hello and welcome once again to the Power Lunch live show. I am your host, Michael Whitehouse, the guy who knows a guy, and you're going to meet some really cool people who I know, as we do every week when we have 1, 2, 3, or maybe even 4 people behind me. How many are back there? You'll have to wait to find out. But we have 3 scheduled. Having them showed up, you'll have to wait to find out. But announcement from me first is, if you look at me and say, Michael, you've got such confidence and comfort on camera, I wish I could do that. Well, I am launching a 5-day challenge. It is free. It is called the Confidence on Camera 5-Day Challenge. It used to be called the Camera Confidence 5-Day Challenge. I had to change it because apparently Camera Confidence is trademarked. Who knew you could trademark that? Anyway, so it's Confidence on Camera 5-Day Challenge. It'll be free, and you can sign up and register at megaconnector.com, where you can find all the other stuff I'm doing as well. So I hope you'll join me. It's 30 minutes every day of the week of the 23rd to the 27th, and I'm going to teach you all the exercises that I learned and practiced to become the speaker that I am, so that you can become the speaker that I am. Full disclosure, you will not become like me in 5 days. But you will get started, and they'll give you the tools to implement to get going on there. So, kind of like if I was all swole and muscular and taught you the exercise I do, you have to actually do the exercises. I'm just going to teach you what they are. But you can sign up there. And look at this. We've got people behind me. Look at all these people. So what we're going to do is first go around, do quick introductions of our guests, learn a little bit about them, and then each of them will be introducing the topic that they gave me, starting with Divian, then Laurie, then Nicky. So let's kick it off with Divian. Mistry, tell us about yourself.
Hey everybody, I'm Divian. I'm in the UK and I help coaches with websites. You've got my link there, 11strategy.com/knowsaguy. We help coaches with websites, and we do that through a means of figuring out a strategy and then designing something friggin' awesome and building it for you. So there's a little bit about me, and I love hugging people, and my friends call me Panda, so that was a random fact for you just there.
There you go. Yeah, you seem like a huggable kind of guy.
One day we will meet, Michael, and we'll have a nice hug.
And then I will know for sure.
Yes.
All right. Next up is Laurie Seymour.
Hi, Michael and everyone. I am Laurie Seymour. I'm in Denver, Colorado. So we're kind of doing around the globe here today, it looks like. And my company is the Baca Institute. And what we are focused on is helping entrepreneurs, conscious business owners, and conscious entrepreneurs, the people who know that there's a bigger voice for them, know that there is more for them, a next step, a quantum leap for bringing their message, bringing the truth of who they are out into the world to serve more people. And my work is about activating their connection with their inner guidance system so that they can do that in the most fluid, stress-free, can't even say it, aligned way. So I'll leave it at that because I know we're going to talk more about that.
Fantastic. And Nicky, welcome.
Thanks for having me, Michael. I'm Nicky Billou from the Big Smoke, Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And what I'm passionate about is I'm passionate about freedom, free expression, and free enterprise. And I believe in the majesty of the entrepreneur and in the majesty of their dreams. Entrepreneurs are society's greatest heroes. Every great thing in our world happens because an entrepreneur has the courage to dream. And in particular, we've got a program where we work with a lot of folks who are coaches and consultants, but we're also starting to work with a lot of CEOs as well. And what we do is we help them learn how to be seen as the thought leader in their space, not just be seen as that, but to actually develop real thought leadership that helps solve real problems for the people they're most passionate about helping, so that they can make the difference they were born to make, and they can add 1 to 2 zeros to their annual income.
Fantastic. Well, they add the zeros to the right side before the decimal point, right? Because if you have the zeros on the left side, it doesn't do anything for you.
There you go, brother. There you go.
Math humor for you. All right. So kicking off with leading us in topics. Our first topic will be Divian talking about how networking and websites go hand in hand.
How long do I have, Michael? Sorry.
2, 3, 5 minutes or so, and then we kick it around.
Cool. So my topic today is about how networking and websites go hand in hand. And so what I want to share is this concept that when you go to a networking event, one of the first things that people do is actually head to your website or go and Google you and try and find you. If you've ever been, especially on an online networking event, you'll probably find people are doing that whilst you're in that in-between phase of other people talking, and they're going to go to your website. So actually your website becomes an incredibly powerful tool to showcase what you do, but more importantly, who you really are. Because the thing is, we as humans, we connect with people, right? And people are more than just the thing that we do. We connect with people, and that's through the visual aspect, but also through the message that you have on your website. So one of the key things about this is when you clear up what it is that you do and how you do that and what you're about and share that on your website, as we help people to do that, then what happens is this magic happens that your message that you share at the networking event coincides with that which is on your website. I've actually just got Laurie's website up here, and I'm looking at it thinking this is really cool. I'm actually doing the thing that I'm talking about right now, and it shares what you do and what you're about as well, who you are, and that's super important. And the way we do that is really simple: is you've got to be really clear on your messaging. And this is one of the things that coaches really struggle with, and people generally really struggle with, is what are they sharing in the world? They'll go to a networking event and say something, and the website might say something different. Mm-hmm. And we want to align them things and align what you're about and what you're sharing about what you do, and the visual aspect as well. So when you turn up as an individual to a networking event, and they go and look at your website, they remember your energy, and that energy flows into your website as well as the words that you've got. Do you want me to share something that will help them to clarify this?
Yes. Let's share something actionable. That's always good.
Actionable tip. Okay, so an actionable tip is to keep it really simple. A lot of coaches go out there and share, I help this person with this thing, without this, and with that, who has a cousin who wears a red sock. And, it's like, where are you going to find that? It gets a little bit too complicated. When you're at that top level of marketing, when you're at that stage where you're just sharing what you do, you just want to be broad with it to begin with. If we take Michael as an example, he's a guy who knows a guy. That doesn't tell you specifically who he... doesn't tell you specifically which guys he knows and what they specifically do and how he connects them specific guys, etc. You've got to read a little bit more into what he does. You've got to have a look at what he does and have a conversation with him to understand that a little bit further. Look at his content, or come on one of these lunchtime, or for me, evening dinner time shows because I'm in the UK, to get to know. But one of the biggest tips is just keep it really simple to begin with, and then you can add layers in when you understand more about your ideal clients and what they would be looking for. So keep it really simple to begin with, and come up with a statement that just shares very simply what you do. And throughout the website, keep the design and layout simple. That I've seen websites that just have way too much on them, and this day and age, what you want people to do is get to your website and consume it. And we do that by actually reducing what we have on the website to the most important things and presenting it in a really clear way that is easy to consume. It's very easy to take big blocks of text and make them simple. And that reflects when you're networking as well. So if I come to a networking event and I say all them things about I do this for this person without that, and people cannot easily refer you to other people. So when you keep it really simple and we just say, hey, headache-free websites, we build websites for coaches. Do I build websites for every single coach on the planet? Nope, because I don't want to serve a certain type of coach who's just out there purely to make money and take everybody's money and put fear into the world. I'm here to serve the people who are there to add value into the world and help other people. And of course, they're going to make money as well. But that's not the driving factor. And so keep it really simple. Make a really simple statement and then share through your words on the website by keeping it simple at the same time, what you do. And through them words, your words, you're going to really share who you are in them words. That's my little tip for today.
I like it. So you're saying starting with something top level like the guy who knows a guy is simple and then builds detail from there.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, then builds from there because you want to when you go networking, you want as many of them people. If you're doing online marketing, I know I said links with networking, but you want to grab as much attention as you can, and then the website, then the process starts to filter out the wrong people.
Yep.
Right? As they read more.
And so Laurie and Nicky, feel free to jump in. Just like we're at lunch, you don't need to raise your hand or wait for your turn. Just start talking and make the other person stop and then grab the table. Well, I mean,
I normally raise my hand when I'm at lunch. So.
Yeah, yeah. It's not like a cable news debate, but you can just jump in there. So if you have a thought, but I as a networker, I completely see that when people overcomplicate and especially when it's 20 people going around, you've got a very short amount of time to get people's attention, and if you overwhelm their brain goes, whoa, wait, all I have to do is wait 20 seconds and they go away. Okay. So if I can't latch on to what you do and who you serve and how I can help you, I'm not going to, there's 19 other people in the room or 60 or 100. So there's plenty more fish in the sea. So you need to get that attention, which means starting with like, I create websites for coaches and especially coaches who are trying to do good in the world and not just doing it for the money. Oh, okay. Yeah, I know some coaches like that, or I know some, I can wrap my head around that pretty easily. Whereas like for 27 years, we've been working in the industries of blah, 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 blah. And we have these degrees, blah, blah. I'm like, oh, you done yet? So yeah, the simplicity is huge.
I'm also struck with there's a commonality or a common theme amongst everybody here that has to do with getting one's message out, tuning into what's really important for you, that alignment, that inner alignment, and then bringing that out so there's outer alignment with what you are knowing most deeply about yourself. And whether that's doing that in how your website shows up, or for me the energetic foundation of that, or Nicky's in teaching you the skills. I mean, I'm excited to be here because I feel like we each have a different aspect of that. And Michael, you're out there saying, hey guys, if you're going to speak, you've got to learn how to be able to be on camera.
Yeah, I've discovered that I'm a bit of a networking medium. My networking style is intuitive. I'll be in a call and I'll kind of like a name will come into my head. And this show has two producers, Serendipity and Random Happenstance. And because it's purely algorithmic, it's manually done, but it's a formula for who gets on what show. I don't sit down and say, oh yeah, I think these topics will go well together. These would be a good fit. Yep. I put them into the spreadsheet. I do the algorithm that I follow, and those are the people who end up on that dates. And every week we're like, wow, this is so perfectly aligned. How do we pick these guests to be together? Serendipity and Random Happenstance did their job once again. So yeah.
And your intuitive sensibilities.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And so that's when I first started the show, I'm like, this show is gonna be a train wreck. I invite a random assortment of guests on. I don't go and watch their videos first. I don't check to see, how they are on camera. I don't compare the topics to see what fits. I just gotta put them together and see what happens. And we're over a year in. This is this is 1 week after our 1 year anniversary, and every episode has been like this. So it's like magic, which is way easier than work.
That could be your next program. Magic, way easier than work.
Oh, yeah, that's why I need more programs. I was just talking to a coach today who's like, you need to simplify to ideally one program. And I'm like, that's a funny idea. One program. Yeah, one message and one focus. Yeah, that sounds good. I'm going to not do it. Yeah, I said, that sounds like really good advice. I'm not going to do it. I'm going to see if I can get down to 3. Maybe if we can do 3, that'd be good. But I'm not doing 1. That's just not going to happen.
Can I
Oh,
piggyback on? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Nicky.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, if we're going around doing our topics, I'd love to use that as a segue into using inner guidance in business.
Go for it. Segue in.
Okay.
Let me
So
be big.
you've got this advice. This coach said, you got to simplify, get down to 1 program. And you're saying, well, maybe 3, I'll try it out. What inner guidance does, what your ability to connect with your inner guidance does, is aligns you with your own insides, your own deepest self. And because you're part of a quantum universe, because you are a hologram of this holographic universe, you're a piece of that. You're also tuning into all the things that you can't see. You are a particle in this great field. But as you tune into your inner guidance, what I know is that, at least in my way of teaching that and doing that, you're tuning into that field. And so you're tuning into things that your mental self, your training hasn't yet arrived at. You don't know, but it's there and it's accessible if you tune into it. So if you were to do the kinds of things that I teach people how to do, you could say, well, which programs do I need to focus on? Which is most important in this moment? Because then there's also right timing. There's the energy of that there is support for that from the universe, where, that might not be the case for another program. Mm-hmm. And just like how you've done this particular program that you're doing here, Michael, and it could be anything. I mean, anything we're querying about or concerned about or wondering about. You get to have that. You get to relax into what your own guidance says to you, what your own guidance wants to share with you. And then what you're in flow. We hear about flow, but you're really in flow, where that it's like the universe is there. The wind is at your back. And when there's blips along the road, you go back to that inner guidance. You go from that place or to that place where inspiration was really alive. And you see how this inspiration needs to be taken into action, and what actions, and with whom, and what resources. And what you're doing is you're raising your own vibration to the vibration of that idea that you had. And that's profound. And when you learn how to ride that, you are creating magic. And it's really capital M magic, because you're there aligned with the fullness of what's possible.
That was a really powerful concept. I like that.
Thank you.
And I definitely I see what you're saying, because like one of my focuses coming into this year, after looking at my bank account, was that I should start getting paid for my work. And then last week I did this behind me, which was planning my entire quarter in 2 hours, and I shared it on Facebook, and a bunch of people said, you need to teach us how to do that. I'm like, cool, if you pay me, I'll teach you how to do it. And they were like, we'll pay you. Boom. And I ran a workshop, made a few $100 in teaching someone something in 2 hours. And I'm like, oh, I like teaching people things that help them. I should get paid for that. That sounds neat. Yeah. But it's trying different things and flowing there. And Divian, were you raising your hand?
I was.
Can I go actually?
Nicky,
Nicky. Yeah.
Thanks. I'll share what I'm going to share by giving you a bit of my background. I'm actually originally an immigrant from the Middle East. I'm a Christian from Iran. And when I was 11 years old, the Islamic Revolution happened in Iran. And my late father, he could see the writing on the wall. This wasn't going to be a great place for him to raise his Christian family going forward. So he made a plan, and he got us out of Iran, and we eventually settled in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. And my father, I thank him for doing this. He changed the trajectory of our lives. If I had stayed in Iran, I'd have probably signed up to go to the army for the Iran-Iraq war, and they were sending young people, and I was 13, 14 years old at the time, to go across minefields to clear them for the older soldiers. So I would have probably been killed or maimed. And because of my dad's great decision, my family's legacy is to live in a free country and to be able to create the kind of life that I choose to create. You know, my dad always told me, son, life is about people. It's not about money. Business is about people. It's about solving problems for people, for profit, but solving problems for people at the end of the day. And, you know, Dad was an uplifter of people. You know, if you knew him and you were looking for work, he'd go find you a job. He'd make calls till he got you one. If you were trying to start a business, he'd sit down with you and bring a few people to help you out, some mentors. He'd even bring capital your way. If you worked for him and you were looking to buy a car or a house or an apartment and you didn't quite have enough money and the bank wouldn't top it up for you, he'd top it up for you. And I mean, who does that? Well, my dad did that. Napoleon Billou was a great man, and I wanted to be just like him. And I got into business coming from a business family, and I started working with entrepreneurs and with coaches. And here's what I noticed. There's a lot of good people in the field. They really had good hearts and they knew what they were doing. They could deliver the work, but they didn't know how to be a good business person. To put it, you know, bluntly, in technical terms, they sucked at business. They didn't understand marketing and sales. They didn't understand, you know, balance sheets and income statements and cash flow statements and hiring and firing and culture building and systems and processes and customer service. And the average coach in the world, in the Western world today, makes $52,000 a year. $52,000 a year. That's not a lot of money. And why? Well, in particular, because they don't understand business. They're coming from their hearts and they're afraid to sell. They think selling is a dirty word. I don't want to be seen as this pushy, salesy person with commission breath coming out of my mouth. I want to be seen as a good person. The problem with that is, though, you don't go after business you should be going after. Legitimate business that you should be getting will go to some charlatan marketer who has no compunction about taking the money and not delivering anything. You know what I mean? So this is what we noticed. The average coach was making $52,000 a year. And most of them, they had an idea. They wanted to make six figures. They wanted to make $250,000, $500,000, even $1 million a year. And me, I was mentored by some folks who talked about really what does it take to do that. Well, number one is you got to take your thinking and you got to start understanding that you're in business. Okay. Yes, you run a practice, but you're in business. You're a businessman. You're a businesswoman. You need to treat it like a business. Yes, it's about making a difference for people, but you've got to treat it like a business. You can't put your head in the sand and ignore that it's a business, right? You've got to understand how to sell. You've got to understand how to ethically enroll people and be from a point of view of service. So the first thing that, you know, we do when we work with people is we help them reframe selling to love, because to me, sales is an act of love. So selling is service. Nobody wants to be sold. You don't want to be sold. I don't want to be sold. But we all love to buy, and we love to buy from a good person who wants to make a difference for us and obviously cares about us more than their commission. So just by teaching people how to rewire their thinking, which takes some time, doing nothing else, that alone helped them double, triple, quadruple their business, because they would go after business from love rather than holding back because they were afraid of looking, you know, like they were some charlatan marketer type person.
People want to be served, right, Nicky?
Yeah, they all want to be served. Secondly, though, you've got to be seen as a thought leader. You've got to stand out. You've got to be sought after. What's the difference between an expert and a thought leader? Well, an expert's someone who knows something, right? But a thought leader is someone who's known for knowing something. Another way to put it is an expert's like a cover band, while a thought leader plays original music. You want to be seen as a thought leader, because as a thought leader, you can develop for yourself your original thoughts. Now, a lot of people go, oh, thought leader, I'll just show you how to position yourself. No, positioning is charlatan marketing. You can't just position yourself. You actually have to know what the heck you're talking about. So you got to learn how to extract your expertise. And this is one of the things we show people how to do, and bring it out of you in a way that your ability to help people becomes clear to you, right? That's what we show people how to do. We show them how to take their expertise out of themselves. Your expertise isn't what you do. It's not that you build websites. It's not that you run programs for spiritual people. Your expertise could be something like you're creative. It could be like you're a problem solver. It could be like you're performance driven, you're execution driven. It's what your actual job, your actual day-to-day work is all about. You show people how they can bring their expertise out of them, then they can develop what their expertise is. Then they can start to see who are the people who can benefit from this, who has the problems that my expertise solves. You get clear on who your ideal client is, what they call the avatar these days. But who are the people you move to help with your expertise? You get clear how your expertise can help solve those problems for those people, right? And then from that point of view, you start to enroll them in solving the problem, not in working with you and buying your program, but in solving their problem. And of course, you're the bridge to solve the problem. And Michael, it's interesting you say there's a lot of people who say you should only do one program and one thing. And yeah, there's some truth to that. But inside the world of thought leadership, we say the average coach makes $52,000 a year. Average person who's in our programs makes $375,000 a year. Why? Because they don't do just one thing, Michael. They actually do multiple things. In fact, every 90 to 180 days, they come up with a new way that their expertise can solve the same problem or a new problem. We call that a cluster. I learned this term from Matt Church from Australia and his Thought Leaders Business School. And in a cluster, it's a marriage of your market, your message, and the method of delivery. And I tell someone like Michael Whitehouse, brother, let's start and let's map out 40 clusters for you. And in the next 3 years, let's launch at least a half a dozen of them, and maybe a full dozen of them. Half of them are going to fail, but half of them are going to succeed, and a quarter of them are going to succeed magnificently. That way, you'll get paid big. You'll be making $250,000, $500,000, $1 million, $2 million a year. You'll also fulfill yourself because you're going to be helping people that really need your help. And you're going to be seen as that go-to thought leader, that person who knows what they're talking about, and not one of those charlatan marketers who just says, position yourself, have this brand. A brand without something to back it up is nothing. Those people are sizzle sellers. There's no steak there. You bite into that sizzle and your mouth burns. We sell steak. You bite into steak, it's good old-fashioned, medium rare, strip loin, Texas grade AAA beef, and that's the way it's always got to be. Complete.
Yeah, so one of the challenges of the show, I never know, someone might come on and just be really like mellow and quiet and lose the attention of the audience, which is obviously not Nicky.
Yeah, I'm kind of flat against the wall back here.
Yeah. So I was listening. I was thinking about kind of like what is the through line, because I have ADHD and that's become more and more part of my identity as I've embraced it. And the superpower. I run a show called Neurodiversity Superpowers where I embrace the superpowers of different neurodiversity. And so I kind of think like, I'm all over the place. But I'm like, what is the through line of all those things? And as you're talking, like all those things are about taking that inner greatness, which is what I call it in my other podcast, and projecting it to the world. Because how to speak on camera, running summits, podcasts, networking. What else am I doing? What the heck else am I doing? Organizing your schedule for an entire quarter. All those are about deploying from the fire inside to project light outside. And I guess we're thinking about, of course, none of that is. And of course, my guy as a guy identity is really like one of those aspects. Just happens to be the name of the book I wrote, which is how it got to be on a website, which is how it got to be my brand. It was all very organic. But yeah, it's an interesting concept. You talk about that to think about like what is the organizing line so people can understand like what the heck does this guy do? And I think some it's a matter of looking at. I don't know if you've seen the art where it's different pieces together and you go to one angle, you see a face, and from the side it's just like a bunch of random shapes. So my brand is kind of like that. From the side, it's like, okay, so he's doing like speaking, but he also does summits, but he also does this other thing, but then you come around. And so I need to walk around the sculpture until I figure out where it turns into a face.
There's 6 ways inside of the thought leadership world where we say you can deliver your methodology, right? You can do one-on-one coaching. Then there's another thing we call mentoring, which is slightly different from coaching. The third way is through authoring. And authoring isn't just writing books. It's also creating online programs, authoring programs. The fourth way is speaking. Fifth way is through delivering training programs like within corporations. And the sixth way is facilitation, like workshops and so forth. You could have the same target market and have 6 different offers and deliver and make money from that in 6 different ways. While if you only did coaching as an example, which is why a lot of coaches only make $52,000 a year, then you're limited. You're seen like you're someone in a box, and you're limited to how much money you can make. Well, you take that coaching program and you turn it into a training program, and you approach some corporations about it. Maybe you were making 50, 60 grand a year coaching people with that, but a single corporation could sign a contract with you for $250,000. You sign 4 contracts like that, you got $1 million a year practice. That's what we teach people. We want heart-driven people, good human beings, not scumbags. We want them to make a lot of money. Not a lot of money. If they're not making a lot of money, that's bad. Because if only the scumbags make money, the good people, their ability to make a difference for their families, for their clients, all that goes away. And charlatans will do that, and they won't make a difference. They won't care. I mean, it's not, if there's a result for their client of a charlatan, it's a happy accident. It's not because the charlatan actually cared and did something to make sure that result happened for that client.
It's
and that's
true.
why I'm passionate about showing people how to do this. Good coaches need to learn this. Like, this is some stuff Matt Church taught me. These are 57 sheets in the area of high performance, like statements of what high performance is and how to create high performance for yourself, right? Deeper explanation, case studies, literature reviews, a visual diagram, and then there's a metaphor, and on the back there's 7 different ways to say it. And then on top of that, if you want to go and become somebody who's like high level with all this, here, you can turn it into a licensable coaching program by creating 20 questions for each of these. Create 20 questions for 12 of these modules. You got a licensable coaching program. It's not only your coaching program, but now you can license it around the globe and use these 20 questions to show people how to deliver this. This is how you become somebody who's heart-driven, delivering good stuff, but also rich. And you deserve to be rich. Make no mistake about it. Money is good. Nobody should think money is bad. Money is energy. God intends you to have a lot of money. If you're not having a lot of money, it's because you are telling yourself money is bad, and you are preventing yourself from being able to get everything you deserve in this world. And no more of that, not as long as Nicky Billou's alive and drawing breath, baby.
Yeah, I wonder if anybody's ever come onto this show and said, I'm a scumbag. You know, I'm a charlatan. And, I love it. I love it, Nicky. And I'm so with you about
their Bible say it for them.
But I'm right with you about money, because money is just energy. And in the metaphysical, it's love. In the physical, it's money. And there has to always be exchange. And I don't mean tit for tat or equal. There is no such thing. But that sense of ongoing evolutionary exchange.
Yeah.
But actually, to Laurie's point, the charlatans don't come on the show. Partly because I think I vibrationally repel them, but also because they tend to be very money focused. And so everything they do, what am I getting paid for it? How big is the audience? What's the reach going to be? The kind of people who come on this show say, oh, I could meet some interesting people. There might be an audience. There might not. I don't know. But it's an opportunity, and let's see what it opens me to. And that's who I want to attract. Whereas the person who's, a lot of the worst of what Nicky's talking about, they don't even do joint ventures, let alone, go on shows and network, because they've got their Facebook funnel and their YouTube funnel, and that converts this way because they A/B tested it, and they're selling, and a lot of them are selling an empty shiny box. They're selling a promise, and you give them $97, and the $97 course, they teach you one useless fact that you could have gotten from a YouTube video, from which you can now buy the $297 program, which tells you one more useless fact you got in a YouTube video, which then gets you to the $997 program, and you're $10,000 in, thinking the next box is gonna have it. I'm just gonna keep opening boxes. There's got to be one in here somewhere. But those kinds of people don't tend to come here, because also they don't have anything to say in an hour-long free-form show, because they don't have the value other than how to make $4,000 by selling $4,000 programs. So it's when I do come across those people, it's always a shock, because I don't tend to come across them much, and it's just like, wait, what do you mean? You're starting, but then they're completely money focused and not worried about results, and then these other people are completely results focused and not worried about money, so they're making $52,000 a year if they're lucky. And so I love what you're doing, Nicky, is kind of pulling those people a little bit closer to the money side, which is the kind of my focus. I don't do New Year's resolutions, but my New Year's revelation was I should get paid this year. And just kind of everything, at least to ask with everything I do, how do I get paid for this?
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Can I add one thing in here? Sorry.
No, go ahead.
One thing that I think is really important as well, talking about these types of people and the type of people who come on here, is one thing that I was thinking about the other day actually is from an energy point of view as well. I think the type of people who come onto this show are the type of people who are going to put good stuff into the world and increase the energy in the world. And the type of people who you reject and repel and wouldn't even want to listen to this are the type of people who, in their process of selling, they create an energetic deficit in the world. They put fear out there and they use the strategies of selling in a way, in the wrong way. Because the strategy itself might not be wrong, but the way they utilize it is creating an energetic deficit. And I've ranted to some friends about this actually. Then what they do is they take some of that money they made and make this big donation to charity or do something which actually only brings them back up to net zero, if that. And to me, that doesn't work. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to create this positive energy. There's a guy called David Hawkins who writes this book. I can't remember the name of the book right now, but he talks about energy levels above and below the line energy. And
power versus force. It's called power versus force.
That's it. Power versus force. Yeah. And he talks about above and below the line energy, and most people operate below the line. And just he said something like one person in a level of courage, which is just making a decision. That's not even, anywhere near up in the highest levels of energy. You can counteract something like 20,000 people who are below the line. And so I think it's so important to come from that place of being above the line and going as far above the line as you can, and bringing that in the way that you share what you do, in the way that you sell. But it does, and I also agree with you, Nicky, that you've got to make money doing it. Like, it's not about being, not making money. And because the reality is, if you don't make the money, that person might quite easily go to one of them charlatans and start spending the money with them. And that doesn't add any good juice into the world, to be perfectly honest.
That's beautifully said, Divian, about that negative or positive draw and what we're putting out, and I just choose to focus on what's possible. My background is as a psychotherapist. I was in that world for many years. Then I became a solutions engineer. People said, what the heck? How'd you get from here to there? But all along, because I had been doing this work of aligning with the truth of who I am, working with a teacher, a mentor for 25 years with a group of people we were doing our own inner research about what it was like, how our lives changed as we received these really new energy systems. And from that, saw how our own lives changed. And so that's how we could then go out. And so I was initiated to carry that, as a lineage holder, to carry that out. But that's not what I lead with. That's a part of who I am. And so what I'm most excited about is, hey, the world needs a whole lot of stuff, and how do we take, and people are inspired every moment, but how do you take that inspiration into real creation and bring that forward in such a way that you're actually making something real, you're actually impacting the world, and you're doing it in a way that feels, that is so much a part of why you're here in the world. And then, of course, you're going to get paid for that. Of course, you're going to charge for that. I mean, why not? Money is part of life.
Money is good.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's needed.
Yeah. Yeah. One thing I found fascinating in I started networking because I didn't have anything else.
You started networking, Michael?
No, I first moved to this new area in 2014. I no jobs, no skills, I didn't even have a network. I had nothing except, being a good-looking, funny guy. And so I'd go to networking events, and I'm like, I have nothing to make this not a waste of your time. So have you met this guy over here? Let me introduce you. And I just kept doing that. And that let me meet more and more people. And I quickly got to be known as a connector and a generous person and a giver. And people then make introductions to me to, oh, have you met the CEO of this? Have you met the mayor of that? Have you met, and then I just kept doing that when I went online, still with no real like program or anything. But I'm just like, I'll just keep connecting people, see what happens. So I got a network. You want to meet somebody? Here, let me hook you up. And 2 years later, what I've stumbled into is in the process of that, like Laurie, when you're talking about your, your inner journey and studying what you did, like this thing here was just a bunch of things I'd learned. I finally mushed together in one day because I got frustrated with not having a plan. And suddenly a bunch of other people were like, what did you do? Teach us what you just did. Like everything that went into that, the idea of doing 3 things a day, the idea of listing all the actions that makes up a project, the idea of putting them into one spreadsheet. None of that is like, none of that state secrets. None of that was hidden on a mountain in Tibet. I just took a bunch of common knowledge, put it together, and suddenly it was something people needed and were willing to pay for. And I'll tell you about, like, there's all these other just solutions that I've come up with to get through my day better, or to, that just seem to make sense. And people are like, oh my God, I never thought of that. And I think there's so many people out there who they're trying to, they're taking a course, they're getting a certification, they're trying to, and the answer is already in them. There's something brilliant they did, the way they raise their kids, or the way they grow strawberries in their garden, or the way they organize their schedule, that someone else would be like, I will give you $1,000 right now to teach me how the heck you do that. And they don't realize how much, how many diamonds are in their own backyard in terms of the wisdom they have to share.
Can I add to that?
Yes.
I want to allude to something that Nicky, you said earlier, which I think is really important. Use the word thought leader versus expert. And somebody a little while ago said to me, a thought leader is somebody who changes the way people think. Is not just an expert. An expert kind of knows exactly what they're doing and shares that with somebody. But a thought leader is somebody who changes the way people think and operate and make their belief system and stuff. And I think that's what you're referring to, Michael. When you think about it, it's like an expert will be like, here's the stuff. But it's not just the stuff. It's changing, because it's great. You could have this spreadsheet. You could do these 3 things a day and da-da-da-da-da. Great. But it's changing the way you think about how you operate. That is what that's the real value you're adding there. Is you're changing the way people think about how they operate and their belief system around it. That then enables them to create success. And that's same thing as you, Nicky. That's what you're doing, right? Is you're changing, you're going, hey, you can be a coach and make tons of money. That's your thought leadership. Is like, you don't have to have one or the other. It's not like they're not, intrinsically linked. They're separate things, and you can have both. And I love that. I love that concept of like, you can be a thought leader instead of just a expert who goes out there and just shares what they know. Well, actually, what about if you transform the way people, and Laurie, transforming the energy, like getting people to see how energy works is more transformative than just telling them you have energy, great. And, like it's transforming I know transforming is used a lot in like the coaching industry. I don't really enjoy using that word as much because of how much it's used. But for a lack of a better term right now, we're going to use that, because I can't remember the exact words the person said to me, but it was something along those lines.
Yeah.
It feels like you're talking about something active and not passive.
Yeah, and that actually reminds me of something that the coach I was talking to today was talking about is having taking the things I'm doing and putting them in a funnel. Like one thing should lead to another, and a concept, similar to this concept I've known a long time, but and I'm working to implement, is the idea of knowledge is free, transformation is valuable. And when I think about this, I've basically, if you listen to a couple places I've talked, I've revealed the entire. Actually, the 5 steps of the plan are on the sales page for the workshop. And if you're somewhat smart, you can probably intuit how to do the 5 steps, especially with what I've said out loud other places. So the information's out there, and then I have a lower cost recording where I say, here's how you do it. Now pause and do it. And I think by adding the now pause and do the thing I just told you makes it from information to action. And then the more expensive thing is the actual workshop where I'm on Zoom with you saying, this is step one. Now we're all going to do step one. Because if you don't have someone there saying, now the thing I just told you, do it now. Because otherwise, like, oh yeah, I'll do that sometime. Especially if you're talking about planning your quarter.
But it goes, Michael, it goes a step further than that, because it's not just going on a call and jumping on a call and going, now do that thing. It's jumping on a call and you saying it in your way that gets people to hear it. The people who resonate with you to hear it.
Yep.
Because anyone can do that. Anyone can jump on a call and just go, hey, now do it. Great. But different people hear different voices, right? And I think what's really important about this, two things I want to share right now. Two things. First of all, Nicky, you mentioned you're Christian, right? And one thing that I really learned from that is ministering to people one at a time. Really loving that person, that one person in front of you. And whether you do that one to many, doesn't matter. You can still love many people, one person at a time, whilst there's many people in front of you. And that's super important, because that's what really creates a change, that love that you bring, that you can share with them, that they feel comfortable that actually taking this step isn't going to blow up the whole world or, whatever. And it rides through the things that we all do. When they feel that safety, that even if this goes wrong, it's fine. You just take another step, right? Not that it should go wrong, but a spreadsheet shouldn't go terribly wrong. But, when they feel that love and feel that from you, that's the thing that really creates the change for them, that they can go, well, I feel safe to move forward now and take that step, whereas previously I might not have. Nicky, you shared about making loads of money. People feel scared about making loads of money. Why? Because their parents told them, you got to work. My parents told me this. You got to work really hard to make money, like really hard. And if you're not working really hard, there's something wrong with it. You're doing something dodgy to make the money, right? That's what I learned. And that's a limiting belief. It's not true. Energetically, that's not true. I always want to share this one thing as well, alluding to what you said, Michael, which might be contrary to what you said. So, throwing one of them out there. Somebody once taught me that people invest in relation to the level of trust and how much they know you. So although I don't like poo-pooing having funnels and having the next step, etc. I don't like poo-pooing that. But I also think there is an argument for having everything available for people to choose what level they want to invest at. Because let's say somebody's ready to invest into your $10,000 program. You don't want them to have to go through the $30 thing and the $500 thing. It's a complete waste of their time. And they'll probably be put off investing in the $10,000 thing, which is a complete segue for the thing I was talking about before. But that's my point.
Well, I think it's merit in both of those, because I was coming from that point of like, so, I've got a $2,000 program that I don't want people to come into the $97 program first. They're going straight to the 2,000. They don't need the 97. They're right there. And what her point was, the $97 person getting the $97 program today, 3 years from now, might be that person who would go straight to do 2,000. And in the meantime, I met them today. So it's a matter of kind of thinking what their journey is from where they get in at the low price or the free point, up climbing the ladder. And it's not so much a matter of a value ladder, because that's what it does for me. It's more a matter of a journey of growth. As they are growing, they can grow with me, or with anyone, that they grow with me instead of growing out and be like, all right, well, I'm done with this. See you later. I'm off to go find someone more expensive.
No, that's a great point. That's a great point. Nicky, I'm curious what you think about that, though, given the particular creation that you have.
Glad you asked that. People don't buy their way into something. People buy their way out of something. People
Seymour.
don't buy their way into something. They buy their way out of something. They're not buying your program. They couldn't care less about your program. I know we all think our programs are wonderful and amazing. Nobody cares. They're here talking to you because they have a problem. And they want to know, can this person help me solve my problem? If I trust them, if I like them, if if I feel I've gotten to know them enough, then yes, I'm going to invest in their program, but really I'm investing in solving my problem, which is what I mean by they buy their way out of something. This is why I'm not a real big fan of these step ladder approaches to selling. Done it in the past. And honestly, right now, the majority of the folks that I work with, I talk to them and I have a conversation with them. And all my conversation is about is, tell me what's not working in your business. Tell me what's not working. And they'll say, well, I only made $1,000 last month, or I made 1,000 one month and 10,000 another month, 500 another month, and 11,000 another month. It's inconsistent billing. And then I go deeper and I go, well, why is that? And then at the bottom line, they say, well, it's because I sell for a little while. I got a bunch of clients, then I deliver and I'm not selling anymore. So I don't have clients anymore. So we got to get to the truth of what the problem is and why it is that this problem has persisted in this fashion. During that conversation, I want to figure out if I really understand why they're in the predicament they're in. And if I understand it, am I the right person to help them? Because in at least a third of the cases, I'm not the right person to help them. It becomes pretty obvious through that question. And if I'm not the right person to help them, I'm going to send them somewhere else. I'm going to say, look, I'm not the right person to help you. This person can help you better. And would you like me to connect you with them? And if they say yes, then I'll connect them with them. But if I am the right person to help them, then I got a bigger job. And this job is a job that a lot of people in our industry don't want me to do. In fact, they're like horrified that I'm going to suggest that they should do this. And here's the job. You got to let the person feel the pain of their predicament. You got to let them feel the pain of their predicament. They've got a cut on their arm. You got to open it up and you got to salt it. Why? Because otherwise they're not going to go and get help to heal that cut. It's like somebody going to see a doctor and goes, I got a broken arm, but you know what? I think I'm not going to fix it today. No, they need to fix it today. But the only way they're going to fix it is if you as a doctor let them know the dire consequences of not fixing it. And that's our job, is to, through our questions, ask people questions that get them to see, oh my God, this lumpy billing, it's going to continue forever if I don't do something about it now. So I'm going to get into fights with my wife. I'm going to not sleep at night because my mind is racing and my health is going to deteriorate. I'm not going to be able to buy my kids their favorite toys at Christmas. I can't send them to private school that I wanted to send them to. I got to send them to public school. My wife and I, we got to keep renting. You know what I mean? That sort of thing. And this person's got to be so clear that the consequences are going to continue and they suck, that they're ready to buy their way out of their consequences. And whenever I speak to somebody, I don't pitch them on, so you ready to invest in my program? Pay me 10 grand? I go, no. Are you ready to get out of this hell you're in? Are you ready to stop hurting in this fashion? Or do you want to keep hurting for a while longer? If I've done my job right, they're going to be ready to get out of the pain they're in. They're going to be ready to stop staying in pain. And they're going to take action, which of course is through the vehicle of my program. But if we talk to people, we have to always understand that if we're selling somebody a way out of their problem, out of their hell, and they're buying their way out of a program, then you should always sell a nice high-ticket program to them. Why? Because a high-ticket program is what is going to get them to have enough leverage on themselves to take action. Look, this is my first book, Finish Line Thinking, How to Think and Win Like a Champion, okay? Right? This is my second book, The Thought Leader's Journey. A lot of what you need to do, what I teach people to do in my program, information-wise, is in these books. Not one person of the 10,000 plus people who read these books has done that. Not one. So the $40 investment in those books has not gotten anybody to add $100,000 or more a year to their business. But the $10,000 investment in my program and the $50,000 and $100,000 investment in my follow-on programs, which show people how to get out of their pain, that's helped a good 170 people get some really fantastic results. And it's because when someone invests $40 in something, it activates the law of expectancy. They don't expect much for $40. But when they invest $10,000 in something, you better believe they expect a ton. I want to show you guys something real quick if I can. Maybe I can't. All right, never mind. But
it would have been amazing. Well,
I'll tell you this. I've got I collect pens, okay? And I've got a Bic pen, and neither of them are at the table now, and I've got a Mont Blanc pen. My Bic pen cost me 70 cents to buy. My Mont Blanc pen cost me $700 to buy. They both write. They both, work well for filling up my journal and signing contracts and all that sort of thing. Why not buy the Mont Blanc pen? Because, man, that thing looks beautiful, and it just writes so wonderfully well. I expect it to perform at a higher level. And when someone buys your $10,000 coaching program and you make them a promise that I'm going to show you how you can stop being stuck at this lumpy billings every month, and you're going to consistently grow your business and be making 5 figures to mid 5 figures a month, and you deliver that for them, they're happy to pay you $10,000 because their problem is solved. And it's a small amount of money. It's a small price to pay to solve your problem for a big ticket. Now, why that's good for you is you make more money with fewer clients. You don't have to sell 1,000 people on this $97 program to make $97,000 in a year. With 10 people at $10,000, you've made $100,000. With 30 people at $10,000, you've got a $300,000 a year practice, which for most people is an wonderful, fantastic amount of money that'll completely transform the trajectory of their and their families' lives forever.
I want to jump in with talking about aspirational as opposed to pain, but I think we're out of time. Is that true?
I'm stunned in thoughtful silence. So do that thought, and then I'll wrap it up.
Okay. Well, it's another way of thinking about this. About I don't even want to say selling people into, but about presenting. What do people want? There's I know that it's a very valid way to look at it. To what do they don't want? They don't want their pain. And and people tell me that all the time. And there's what do you want in your life? Do you want more freedom? Do you want that abundance of money, of time, of energy? Do you want to go beyond stress? Do you want to feel that alignment with who you are and be able to express that in the work that you do in the world? So there's something to be said too for inviting people into a bigger picture. And I'll just leave it at that because I could go into that for a long time, but yep. I'll leave it at that.
As Laurie pointed out, we are indeed running out of time. What Nicky just says, like, oh, wait a minute. I took that alignment concept and like, if I put those things together into the same program. Anyway, I got to go. I got some work to do. So, but here on this show, the last thing we do is we wrap up with a final 60 seconds or so. This would be the time to share your website, offer why people should do the thing to get in touch with you and how they should do it, et cetera, et cetera. So start with Laurie because you're the faces on the screen. Laurie, final thoughts and how people can connect with you.
Well, you've got my website there, and right on the front page of the website is the Quantum Connection quiz. And I put that also into the chat, but I don't know if that's being seen or not. It's a way to discover your own personal unique style of connecting with the quantum universe. And that sounds quite out there, but what I really mean by that is, what's your style of creating? What's your style of bringing forward your genius? And if you really want to connect with your big picture and know that you're ready as a creative visionary, you don't have to be spiritual. It's not about that. It is really about bringing forward what is yours and what you're here to do.
All right. Very good. Nicky, final thoughts.
So look, if 2022 was not what you wanted it to be, and you want to make 2023 better, and you understand that we're living in a recession right now, winter is here, the recession is here, and you want to figure out how to be a good, heart-driven person and still grow, let's jump on a success visioning coaching call. It's a complimentary call I offer to help you over a 45-minute period, map out a plan for how to take you from where you are to where you want to be this year, how to take your business from tragic to magic, because as Laura said, you got to have an aspiration. You got to have a goal. It can't just be about, I don't want the pain. It's also got to be about, this is the heaven that I want. So make sure you take advantage of that. Complete.
Fantastic. And Divian.
Hey, so if you're somebody who's going out there and putting effort in to grow your business, which I'm assuming you are if you're watching this show, and you want to get more of them leads to listen to you, to take action, to move forward with you, to opt in, to book a call, whatever it is that you want them to do on your website. I've got a free guide on that, the 11 most effective strategies to capture more leads from your website in the next 60 days without having to send more traffic there. So you should go and download that and get more of that. And from that, you can book a call with me, a completely complimentary call, if that's something that you'd want to do and want help with your website.
All right, fantastic. And my final thoughts, of course, you can find all of my information at megaconnector.com, which has the clarity of a whole bunch of buttons at the top that I finally was like, oh, I should put everything right there, including the upcoming Confidence on Camera. Yeah, I got the name right. Confidence on Camera 5-day challenge, which is the 23rd to the 27th, which will be leading into a program that you should totally get into, because if I think longer about it, I may raise the price. So before Nicky influences me and I raise my prices, you should definitely get in that. And you can also learn about the Plan 3 Months in Hours program that I did live last night, but there's a pre-recorded one. And some other cool stuff is on there as well, including I can run summits for you. And as I said, in a couple weeks, I may take all that stuff, strap it together, and make one big program that does it all in one big orderly way. But that's after my mind chews through all the interesting things I've learned on this show, which is why I do this show, because I get so much more than money out of it, which is good because no one pays me to do the show. So thank you all guests for coming on the show and sharing your wisdom. Thank you to all of our audience for watching and receiving their wisdom. And we are here almost every Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern. And if you watch this show and say, I could be on that show, it's true. You could be. guywhoknowsaguy.com/powerlunch. Fill out that form. If you think you're interesting enough and have something to share, then I might think so too. So fill the form out, come on the show and share what you have. So thank you, everyone. And see you next week.